Political Scope. This is a special edition for you, the people of Berbice. I have with me in studio the Honorable Dr. Frank Anthony, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport. Minister, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Let me say a very happy new year to you.
Same to you, Minister, and of course, a Happy New Year to our viewers. I want us to spend the next 55 minutes or so to talk about culture, youth, and sport in Berbice. We know off the bat when you talk Berbice and you talk sport, the first thing that comes to mind is cricket.
Yeah, indeed.
Everyone, every corner in Berbice you turn, you can see kids playing cricket in the street corner, in some back street, at the beach, at some, even sometimes at the pastures, you see them playing cricket. So cricket has more or less been the number one sport in Berbice. Let us talk a little in terms of what the government has been doing over the years, generally to help to develop the sport further in Berbice.
Well, as you rightly said, cricket, there's a passion for cricket in Berbice. A lot of people there, they enjoy the game. Those who don't play anymore, they follow the game, and people are very passionate about cricket. And we have been working with the various stakeholders in Berbice to ensure that there's development of cricket in Berbice. Our focus has been primarily on helping to develop the facilities that exist in Berbice. So you would recall that the government, over the last 3 years or so, we have introduced a grant scheme where communities can apply to us, and we give them up to a million Ghana dollars to assist them with community grounds. And so people in Berbice, the communities in Berbice have really been taking this opportunity very seriously. They have taken this very seriously, and they've been applying. And so, for example, this year alone, we had well, last year in 2014, we had about 42 or so communities applying to fix their facility. And we would normally send the monies through the region. And so the Region 6 administration would have done a fantastic job in terms of implementing these programs. And I'm told that more than 95 to close to 100% of these programs have been executed, which is quite good.
So we're talking about approximately 42 grounds that are now ready for cricket, but not only cricket, because they can be utilized.
Not only cricket, they can do many things there. And you see the grounds generally were in different states of disrepair, or they wanted maybe to add more dirt and lift the fields, so to speak. So they wanted things to be thrown in there and leveled. In some cases, they probably wanted a fence fixed or a bridge fixed. They wanted a pavilion or to repair a pavilion, little things like that. And sometimes raising that capital in the community is very difficult. So they've been able to access this facility, and the feedback that we have gotten was quite positive. In fact, in 2012, when we first started this, you know, not a lot of people knew about it, so we didn't get as much application. But by 2013, 2014, we started seeing more and more applications coming. And we were very happy with that, because I think, you know, we are affecting sports where we need to affect it, at the community level, so that people can get better facilities at that level.
Talking about fixing ground, the government has made significant investment in the Albion's ground. I understand the plan is to bring that, to make that another international cricketing facility and maybe international sporting facility in the country. Tell us a little about what has been happening.
Well, Albion, we have big plans for Albion, simply because we feel that we need to have a second venue where we can host international cricket. And we feel that Albion is the right place for it. They have the space. We need to realign some of the structures that they have on the ground currently and create maybe parking and things of that nature. So over last year, we spent some time with some designers and planners, and we have been able to develop a master plan for Albion. where how we're going to utilize the space that we currently have there and redevelop the facility. And that then would inform how we make investment decisions in Albion over the next couple of years. So which stands we'll have to do, how we have to make them bigger, moving around the fence, putting in the parking, controlling crowd, because if you're thinking about an international facility, there are certain basic requirements. Crowd control, that's you have to get those things in place. Making sure that if there's any people want to rush out of the place, that they have adequate entrances and exits to get in and get out. So we have to comply with those international things. In addition to that, the players' rooms, they have to be of a certain standard, so we have to make sure that we are complying with those standards. So having gone through that experience when we were doing Providence, the National Stadium at Providence, we know those standards, we know what to aim for. And we are using some of the things that we have learned there to develop this new facility. So we have it in paper. We have some preliminary cost for it. And if we're going to fund it out of the government's budget, it means it would have to be a multi-year project over the next couple of years. However, even while we're doing that, you would know that last year we made a commitment, the president made a commitment in terms of putting in lights at Albion, because when you have lights in a facility, a sporting facility, people would be able to go there in the evenings and utilize the facility. At Albion, we've had a number of persons and clubs and organizations who would be using Albion were always complaining. They were complaining that when they go there, they have to use these temporary structures, lighting structures. The quality of the light was not good, so therefore the events that they were having, whether it's cricket or football or whatever events they were having, it was poorly lit. Those things can lead to disputes and a lot of, you know what flows from that kind of situation. So we took a very conscious decision that we're going to help them. And we designed lighting systems similar to the ones that we have at Providence. And in fact, the company that prefabricated the lighting towers and did the lights for us is the same company that did it for Providence. And we've been able to install that. The president went up to Albion and we were able to open that during last year. And I think since then, we have had, again, very positive feedback, because people have been saying to us now that we can actually utilize this facility more. And when they had Berbice Expo, for example, I think a lot of people were very surprised by, how the atmosphere that was created with these lights and so forth. So we are very happy that when we do these kinds of investments, that, people are able to appreciate them and utilize them to the benefit of the community and the region as a whole. We're very pleased about that.
Berbice specifically has managed over the years to produce quite a number of cricketers who made it to, first and foremost, the Guyana team, and on to the West Indies team. What is it your government is doing at the club level, at the school level, to improve the sport and to ensure that more persons are given the opportunity to play?
Well, apart from the investment in infrastructure, we also have an educational component. And this cut across all sports, because we recognize that sometimes the clubs and the various sporting organizations, they have weaknesses in management, administration, officiating, umpiring, that sort of thing. And so we have been running some courses where we'll bring representatives of these various clubs and teach them how to manage maybe a sporting event, how to run a club, that sort of thing. Last year we did about 14 or 15 of those types of courses, and there were quite a few people from Berbice who benefited from that. I remember in cricket, for cricket in particular, we had a session when the Amazon uh, warriors, when they were playing in Guyana, a number of the captains who were involved on the team had a special session for captains. So here it was, experienced captains of the West Indies Guyana team. We had Hafiz also
Yeah.
was on that panel, and Clive Lloyd. And then you had an interaction with the young captains, persons who are now captaining their village team or their club team, and they were interacting. So experience was being shared between the people who have done this, know this, and that kind of thing, with people who are now coming up. And that's the kind of thing that we want to facilitate because it's important that we share that kind of experience. So that was one way that we did that. At the school level, we have also been doing a number of partnerships with schools, helping them again, um, school grounds, and also working with the teachers, hosting tournaments, and that sort of thing, so that in the end you can get more cricket being played in the community.
Let us talk a little about the cricket bill, now a
Yeah,
law. Let us talk a little about how that has impacted the sport, not only here in Berbice, but also across the country,
sure.
how that has been impacting the sport.
But we've had some administrative challenges with cricket over the last couple of years, and it all stemmed because of um, disputes within the Guyana Cricket Board. And the government got involved because the ICC clearly provides that if there's certain maladministration with cricket in any country, that the government of that country can intervene to rectify these things. We did not just willingly walk in to do that because we felt that the people, the different persons who were having these disputes, that they themselves could have resolved their problems, but the problems became so entrenched that they were not talking to each other, and it really became an issue where they weren't even sitting in the same room. So, because of the challenge that we were having, um, we, and there were several court cases, people going to court, injuncting one another. And in one such case where the Berbice board went to court, the Chief Justice ruled that the executive need to step in and basically exercise executive authority, which we did by establishing an interim management committee under the leadership of Clive Lloyd. And that committee then did work, went out, did consultations, and tried to find what were the core issues. What is it that people were really fighting about? And we found some of those. One of it was the constitution of the Guyana Cricket Board, constitution of these county boards. And people were complaining, and the major complaint that we got with all of this is really that when you're having elections for the Guyana Cricket Board, that at that period, people would manipulate the system by inventing, creating phantom clubs so that the members of these clubs can go and vote. And in doing that, they would skew the results of the elections. Now, that committee then produced a report. The committee then assisted in drafting a bill that we took to Parliament. When we took that to Parliament, the Parliament decided that they're going to have a subcommittee to deal with this. We're going to have our own hearings. We brought back everybody to Parliament and listened to them, and then that parliamentary subcommittee also had its voice. And eventually we were able to pass a bill, the Guyana Cricket Administration Bill, that in that bill, among the things that it's helping to do is to fix this whole question about malpractice during elections. And so one way of fixing that, we came up with a very, I would say, good suggestion, which is now the law, and that is to have somebody appointed as a cricket ombudsman, meaning that this person would be neutral, fair to every party, go in, investigate, and then be able, on having done all of that and created a clean list, so to speak, then have the elections with this clean list. So, under the law, the minister is required to consult with the WICB in naming the cricket ombudsman. I wrote to Mr. Cameron um, shortly after His Excellency the President passed this into law. Um, I wrote to Mr. Cameron and I pointed out in the letter that the bill is now law and that in the implementation of this law, we have to appoint a cricket ombudsman. And I asked him for suggestions, of names of persons who the West Indies Cricket Board would be interested in naming as a cricket ombudsman. And I gave him a certain time frame of 3 weeks in which to respond to this request. Unfortunately, we did not get a request or get a name from Mr. Cameron, and
so he didn't respond to you?
They did not respond, and I think that was deliberate, because I'm told that this matter was discussed at the West Indies Cricket Board, and but they did not furnish us with a response. But again, if they do not respond, at least we would have fulfilled our obligations in terms of writing them, informing them, giving them adequate time to respond to us. If they had any queries, they could have come back and asked us for more time, whatever it is. They did not respond. And so we have since proceeded, and we have appointed a distinguished historian, Dr. McGowan, who, as you know, would have written extensively on cricket in Guyana, extensively on cricket, West Indies cricket, and is very, very knowledgeable of the game. And we've asked him to be the ombudsman, and I think, the rest, as they say, is history. He has agreed, and he has since been appointed as the cricket ombudsman.
Could you tell us briefly, though, whether will there be an established office for the cricket ombudsman? Is that part of the plan?
Well, for the first cricket ombudsman, we would assist, but in future ombudsman, that would be a role for the Guyana Cricket Board. So in terms of facilitating this initial cricket ombudsman, the government would assist him in whatever way he needs that assistance. But he is a totally independent person, and it's for him to do what is necessary. Nobody can influence him.
Another sport in Berbice, Minister, that I think is gaining, well, not only gaining, but already is quite popular in here in Berbice, is that of volleyball.
Yeah.
What has the government been doing, to promote that particular sport?
Well, again, volleyball is quite popular in Berbice, and they have some of the best teams in the country, good players, and they have really excelled in volleyball. One of the things that we've been able to do with the Guyana Volleyball Federation, we wanted to create some better areas where we can play volleyball. As you know, when you play volleyball on hard turf, after a while you start damaging your joints. So whether it's your knee or ankle, you start damaging joints. And when you're playing on concrete, if you fall, you can easily bruise yourself and all of that. So we have been thinking about this issue and working along with the Guyana Volleyball Federation. Their international body has been able to give them some synthetic surface, similar to what we have at the gymnasium. And that synthetic surface is going to be installed at Port Morant, where we already have a foundation layer of concrete. So we'll be putting this synthetic surface on top of that. And I think by doing that, we'll improve the place where we're playing volleyball in Berbice. So now you'll have a more professional court available to the people who are playing there. And we hope that the great game would improve.
Of course, this is significant and good news for Barbicians.
Yeah.
You didn't give a timeline though of what you're looking
No,
at.
actually, we have the synthetic surface already at Port Morant, and we were concluding arrangements with a contractor to actually do the installation. The foundation is there already. We had done that a year ago, and so we are now putting this surface on top of that foundation. So
So
it's
the
not a lot of
process had
work.
already started.
In less than a month, that can be completed. So it's not a lot of work.
Finally, on the area of sport, though, cycling is another area where
Yeah.
Barbicians are very much involved in. What has been happening? I know um, you have quite a number of cycling activities in Berbice. Tell us a little in terms of government's involvement again.
Well, again, the government would normally have the main cycling events. We have been doing the three-stage race at Independence, and I think a lot of people look forward to that. We have since created another event, the five-stage race, and we have a lot of Barbicians participating in that. In addition to that, we have added to these repertoires of competition, this set of competitions that we have some Barbie specific competitions, if you like. The Chetty Jagan Memorial Race, normally done in Berbice. We have, another race for the ballot box martyrs, and that is also done up there. So these are memorial races, and we have great participation when we do them. So Chetty Jagan Memorial Race started in Berbice. Now it's in all three counties. So we do one leg in Berbice, one in Demerara, one in Esquivel. And that has really gained momentum. And of course, the ballot box martyrs race, we are doing that because of, the two young PYO comrades who were killed in 1973 when you had the general elections of 1973. They were there at the polling station, and when the army came in to remove the ballot box, they asked that the ballots be counted at the place of poll, and they were shot, and it was a very tragic loss of life, and those two young persons, Jagan Ramisar and Parmanan Bolanat, were members of the Progressive Youth Organization. So one way of keeping their memory alive and what they stood for and what they fought for, because I think today a lot of what we have um, and what we are guarding, or democracy that we are guarding, people tend to forget the struggles of persons before us who made the ultimate sacrifice of giving up their life for these beliefs. So these two young comrades, they believe in democracy. They wanted to see fair and free elections, and they lost their life because they were fighting for free and fair elections. And so we felt one way of remembering them is to have this cycle race. And I'm very pleased that every year when I go up there, so many persons turn out, and so many cyclists participate in the race.
Shifting our focus a little to youths, and I'm speaking more specifically here to Berbice.
Sure.
Um, Job creation for young people and creating the opportunities for them and ensure that they're equipped to become employable. What has your government been doing with regards to preparing young people in Berbice?
Well, the government, um, across government, we have several programs. I think young people, for them to acquire the necessary skills to be employed, they have to be trained. And so you will have those that would leave school after CSEC or CAPE, and some of them would then go into the um, work environment. Others would opt to go on for further training either at the University of Guyana, Berbice campus, or to one of the technical institutes that we have there. So there are opportunities that are available. We have a teachers training college up there. We have tech voc centers up there. So people would opt for some of these training options. In addition to that, we recognize that there might be other persons who might have left school a little bit earlier. And we want to give them a second chance at learning. So, through the Ministry of Culture, Youth, and Sports, we have a school in New Amsterdam where we are teaching young people how to repair computers, for example. That's a 6 months course. And after they have completed all the theoretical and practical areas, then we apprentice them to some work site. And it has been a very successful program. One of the things that we encourage the young people who come to us, we encourage them by providing them with a little stipend. So, it's also, we're giving them a little stipend to learn. And I think that has really worked well. For a lot of the young ladies, they tend to gravitate towards things like hairdressing and doing up cosmetology and things like that. And we've been doing that, and so some of them have even gone on to opening up their own salons and being their, employing people to work with them, which is in itself is a very good success story. So we have been providing a lot of young people with the skills so that they can then utilize these skills to get employed. And in some cases, as we have seen with our program, we have seen some people becoming employers themselves. So that's in a little way how we have been contributing.
And this you're talking here, this is a program which is specific to your ministry.
Yes,
And
the one that we have at New Amsterdam, it's specific to our ministry. We have been doing that for maybe about 10 years now.
But you have also other programs from the Ministry of Labor as well. That
Ministry of Labor, they have a program where they deal with apprentices, so they can apprentice young people to work sites and have people on that site becoming mentors to them. And through that program, they have really been graduating quite a lot of young people, hundreds of young people actually. You would have seen from recent graduations, maybe 300 young people graduating from those programs. In addition to that, you have a nursing school at the New Amsterdam Hospital. So persons who are interested in nursing can be trained in Berbice to do nursing. And they get the qualifications and everything up there. You have the TechVoc programs. So people who are interested in these technical fields can go to any one of those TechVoc centers. You have the Teachers Training College. Traditionally, people had to come to Georgetown to be trained as a teacher. Now these programs can be done in Berbice, and it's all our way of equipping people with the skills so that they can get the jobs that are available in the regions.
a lot of young people have been gravitating over the years to the President Youth Award Republic of Guyana program.
Yeah.
What has been happening with that here in Berbice?
Again, I think that's a tremendous program for young people because it is a program where we get young people to learn certain skills, leadership skills, camping skills, and once they develop these skills, they would then go out and do social projects. So at every level, there are 3 levels to this program: a bronze level, a silver level, and a gold level. And each one of these levels, they have to give back something to the community. So it's teaching young people about social responsibility. And they can do any one of these things. They can decide, well, in my community, we have an issue with garbage, for example, and come up with a program, come up with a solution to address this problem in their community. And they get points for that. And then with the other component where we're teaching them skills of leadership, they'll go out, take leadership of this thing, fix it, or demonstrate how they can involve a larger set of citizens within that community to deal with this community issue. And the fun part of it is that they also go on trekking, they go camping. So for somebody trying to complete the bronze level program, I think they do a 30-mile trek and they learn camping skills and they spend a night out in the, wherever they're going trekking. And that has really been fun for a lot of young people who have come onto the program. Once you complete bronze and silver, you go to gold. And the gold program is actually a very fantastic one because the trekking that the young people would do is really going up to Kaichor Falls. So they go by truck to Chumari Junction and then walk from there to Kaichor. And one of the things that they do, they come from the bottom of the falls and then climb to the top. I don't know how many persons in Guyana would have had that experience, but for these young people, all of them who've gone through that program, they said it's an unforgettable experience. It's something worth doing. It's something that, you know, you feel proud that you have completed. And I think that's what young Guyanese must do. Go out, see different parts of the country, explore it, and be proud of our country. And through this program, we are giving them that opportunity to be able to see different parts of Guyana.
I understand your ministry has been working on an initiative to set up a monument at Palmyra to look at some show workers who were killed. Tell us a little more about that and where.
Well, you know, in 1838, the first set of Indian indentured immigrants came to Guyana. And the first set of people actually came off at Plantation Highbury, which is along the riverbank, the eastern riverbank. Now, we have actually located the area where Plantation Highbury, you know, exists. And in fact, there's a commemoration organization in Berbice who has been able to build a facility at Plantation Highbury. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not living right now in that area. So we did not want to situate a monument where not a lot of people would be able to see the monument and appreciate its significance. So we thought of having the monument in a more prominent area where people would see it and be reminded of this historic event that happened so many years ago. And so we thought of putting this monument at Palmyra. So it's actually going to be situated as soon as you come over the Berbice Bridge and where the road divides. It's going to be situated right in front of you, so you can't miss it. So when you come to Berbice, this would be a landmark kind of structure that you will see. And that's what we are hoping to achieve. Now, we have been able to get an acre of land from Gaisuku, and so we're right now developing that property. And about a year ago, we had a competition for the design of the monument. And we have had two prominent Guyanese artists who have put in a model, and they have actually won the competition. And these artists are Philbert Gajadar and Winslow Craig, who is a very well-known sculptor. So based on the model that they have presented, we have been able to negotiate to do these models in bronze. We have spoken to the Indian government, and they have agreed that they're going to assist us to do these statues. The monument would consist of 6 statues of people coming off a ship, depicting people coming off a ship and what they brought and things like that. So it's going to actually be, you know, when you see it and when it's completed, it's going to be a fantastic structure.
I think I mixed it up there when I said sugar workers killed because looking at what we're discussing and trying to get the information up, I mix it up with the Rose Hall Memorial Site that
Yeah,
you
but
guys
that's
are working
another
on.
one that we're doing. Maybe you're doing too many monuments. You're confusing it. But we want to separate the two things. So this one at Palmyra deals with indentureship and Indian indentured immigrants who came to Guyana. And it's significant that we must have a monument there because that's the first place that they came off from. So that's what we're doing. As you know, there's an indentureship monument in Georgetown, but we feel that it's fitting to put one in Berbice, and that's what we're working on at Palmyra. The other place that we have been working on is in Kanji. And at Rose Hall in 1913, you had an incident that happened there. During indentureship, people sometimes feel that indentureship was not very harsh on the immigrants who came. It was a very harsh system. In fact, there's a historian called Uthinka who have said that indentureship is actually the new form of slavery, right? So conditions were very harsh. And the terms of engagement of the immigrants, a lot of time the plantation owners would have violated those agreements. And so from 1838 to when it was abolished, from time to time you would have um, the immigrants were dissatisfied with conditions of work and conditions of labor. And so they would, from time to time, make those um, known to the plantation owners. In this case, in 1913, you had a dispute at Plantation Rose Hall, and the police came in and they shot 15 people were killed. But most people would remember maybe, what happened at Enmore, the 5 martyrs at Enmore. People don't generally remember what happened at Rose Hall in 1913. So by having monuments, by creating parks and spaces, we're hoping that we can retrieve back this history for the community. And we are very pleased that for the 100th anniversary, we had a ceremony on the site, and we have since been able to create a space there, fenced it, put in a little monument, and so over time we are going to be developing that space and getting more people from Berbice to appreciate some of what went on in Berbice, the history of Berbice.
We have over the years, and I think if if I'm correct, there are occasions I think you yourself would have mentioned us not really sometimes deviating from our cultures, getting involved in all forms of other or getting sunk into other people's culture. Your ministry has been doing quite a number of programs to promote the culture of Guyanese and to promote the area of culture. Tell us a little about some of those programs that you have nationally to which people here in Berbice are benefiting from.
Well, we actually have a wide range of programs. And, we are blessed in a sense that we have this diversity in Guyana. Because of our history, people were uprooted from different continents and brought here, transplanted into this land. And then what happened, we had people encountering each other, encountering new culture, blending, and developing maybe something that is new and unique to us here in Guyana. And I think because of that experience, we can really go any part in the world and be able to relate to that because we have been exposed to so many different cultures right here. And we want to preserve, in a sense, or sustain that authenticity. And so a lot of the programming that we have been doing in the ministry allows for that. So if people want to celebrate their particular day, it's allowed and it's encouraged, but we also encourage everybody to celebrate in it so that we can develop an appreciation for each other. And I think that has really been working. So when you have maybe on the 1st of August and we celebrate Emancipation Day, I see lots of people go out and enjoy the day and understand the significance, the historic significance of this day. Similarly, when on the 5th of May we have Arrival Day, you see all ethnicities participating in Arrival Day. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we can understand each other's history and culture and background. And I think through many of our programs, we've been able to cultivate this. For example, we celebrate a number of festivals. I mentioned two. During 5th of May, we do the Arrival Day. For that particular day, we have exhibitions, we have concerts, we work with community groups. Um, in terms of 1st of August, similar things are done. So we treat everybody equally and allow them to help educate the public about these particular days. In addition to that, we have been, as you know, working on Mashramani. Mashramani has now become so entrenched in our culture, and there are certain things that are associated now with this particular festival. So I suppose when you think Mashramani, you think about song competitions. We have, for example, calypso competition. We have a soca competition. We have a chutney competition. In fact, leading up to Mashramani is perhaps the most creative time for our singers and composers because during this period, maybe from November to February,
February.
you probably have maybe about 120 songs, new songs being composed and sung. I don't think a lot of people realize that, right? That's the level of creativity that you got in this short space of time. And that is done because we have this festival, this platform on which people can work and create and have an objective to meet in entering a competition and so forth. So for song competitions, MASH create a good avenue for that. We have also been working in terms of steel pan music. You would recall a couple of years ago, say in 2007, 2006, um, steel pan was really on a downward slide. And when we hosted Carifesta here in 2008, we made a deliberate attempt to resuscitate steel pan music. And by creating a national steel pan with 100 pieces, and we've been really working on developing that um, musical form. So now we've started out with a small competition at MASH. Now we have to have two separate competitions because we have so many school bands entering now that we have to now hold a separate competition for the school bands, which is good. A couple of years ago, we couldn't do that because we didn't have enough bands. So it's a good thing that we are able to do this now. More recently, well, about a year ago, we have given steel pans to Tagore Memorial School. And so they have been learning, and I hope that they come to this year's Mashramani competition and participate in the competition. The float parade, for example, we would normally have 30, 40 bands coming out on the road. People look forward for that. I think the float parade presents a very unique opportunity for businesses because on that day you probably have maybe 80,000 people on the road lining the streets, looking at the floats, seeing what's going on. And then when you take the television coverage from that and broadcast it around Guyana and even around the world, you're getting even a bigger coverage. So we want more corporate entities to participate in the festival because you get unprecedented coverage for your products and services that you're offering. So if we get more people participating, more companies participating, the festival would be even bigger. And there are many ancillary things that are created from a festival like this. You have the designers, you have people who are making the costumes themselves. You know, so many different professions, creative professions that flow from a festival like this. Of course, you have the entertainers, people who would be the DJs, the musicians, the bands that are playing. All these people would benefit from a festival like this. In fact, when you look across the Caribbean, you can see that to drive tourism, they're actually using the medium of festivals to drive tourism. In Trinidad, you have Carnival. In Barbados, you have Crapova. In Bahamas, you have Junkanoo. So all these different countries have created carnival-like traditions to drive um, tourism coming into their country. And we need to develop this, make it even bigger, improve on our quality, and get more people to come. While we do it nationally, and the parade on the 23rd is in Georgetown, we also have a parade that happens regionally. So the following week, we have one that is going on in Linden, and then another parade that happens in Berbice. So, we also have regional parades, and that's the good thing. That's the kind of
But
diversification
the
that we
parade
want.
in Berbice has really grown over the years.
The parade has been growing, and some of the people who participate nationally would then go up and also participate with the revelers in Berbice. So it's a growing thing, and we need to continue working on developing these things.
Briefly, if you can tell us, give us a sneak preview in terms of the plans from the ministry side for MASH 2014. We just a matter of 2015. Sorry,
Yeah.
we're a matter of weeks away from
Yeah.
MASH Romani.
Well, again, as I said, we're going to be having the Calypso competition. You'll have a semifinals and a finals. The finals, more than likely, is going to be at Thirst Park again. We're having the chutney competition, which is happening in Esquibo. We're going to be having the steel pan competition, a junior calypso competition. You're going to be having the soca competition, semifinals in Berbice, finals in Georgetown. So these are the different competitions that are going on. In addition to that, we'll have the road parade, which is going to be on the 23rd. In every region, we're going to have a flag raising ceremony. And so we'll be assisting the various regions to make sure that we have a good ceremony in the particular region. A lot of people have complained that, celebrating our Republican status should not only be about going up and dancing up and sporting up and that kind of thing, that there must also be a serious side where we can introspect and reflect on why is it that we celebrate this Republican anniversary. And so over the last couple of years, we have been doing different things. We have been adding like an exhibition at the museum where people can go and learn more about what it means to be a republic. And we have started something called the Republic of Guyana Lecture Series, where we have been bringing in a notable academic, a scholar, to talk on a topic, some aspect of Guyanese culture. And so this year we'll continue that tradition, and later on we'll publish that lecture so that people who didn't attend the lecture can have access to it. We'll also be doing a special workshop in another area of culture so that we can strengthen these things that we have been building upon. And I think in summary, these are some of the things that we'll be doing. And of course, we have been planning a long time for this, and therefore most of the plans are in place, and it's just being rolled out.
I know you don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I realize you're talking around and you don't want to let, but what could, even though we're talking to the people in Berbice here, what the people of Guyana can expect come February 23 for the MASH at the national level, as well as what Berbicians themselves can expect coming for
what
their
you'll be
celebration?
having is another spectacular parade happening on the 23rd. We plan, we work with a lot of stakeholders, and everybody want to deliver a very good road parade, and that's what we're aiming for, because every time we conclude MASH Romani period, we go back, we review, we see how we can improve, what else we can do, and we come out again the following year. And whatever challenges maybe we would have had in the past, we are seeking to correct those and make this one even more spectacular.
I know we deviated a little from our initial discussions
Yes.
because we were talking about sport, culture, and youth in Berbice,
Yeah.
and of course we spent some time on MASH Romani because it is also important to people here in Berbice because they have their own celebrations. Guyana gained a Republican status, so
Right,
it benefits
sure.
Guyanese
Yeah.
at large. But I want us to come back to some of the issues that you have mentioned, some of the efforts of your government, whether in the area of sport, culture, youth. You have outlined a number of initiatives, especially for the people here in Berbice. Many of them similarly happening in other parts of the country. But while you've outlined all of that and talked about the investment your government has been making, um, still your political opponents continue to accuse your government of either neglecting youths in Berbice, in other parts of the country, of neglecting Barbicians in some cases. What is your response to them?
It's a very simple one because the track record that we can look at, if we look at maybe what the PNC did while they were in government and compare what we have done, you'll see a difference in how much has been accomplished. I recall, I think in 1987 or something, in one of the budget debates that was presented in the parliament, that when they were talking about an allocation for sport, uh, in the budget debate, they were saying that the main budget speech actually, they were they were saying that they would allocate some monies to do a study to look at the place in Wolford Avenue, right? This is not even allocating money to build the facility. This was to do a study to see what they can do, right? We are not doing that. I mean, we of course we plan properly, we do the studies and all of that, but we have been allocating real money for the development of sports in Guyana. And we have a very strong track record in that respect. So it's not only about us talking about development, we are doing it, and people can see tangible results from it. So we spoke about having a new stadium for different games. We just didn't talk about it. You now have a national stadium at Providence. When we built it, people said it would have been a white elephant. We have proved them otherwise because it is being used almost on a monthly basis. We have big international singers and all kinds of different people coming in to use the facility. It's overbooked, right? So we have that happening there. When we were doing the aquatic center, we got negative comments. But this is your first Olympic-sized pool in Guyana, where people can now train for international competitions. When they do the times at the pool, it can be properly recorded. When they're training, it's a similar pool to what you'll have in any international competition. We have seen when our athletes train there now and they go internationally, they're doing better. That's the validation that we are looking for. And it's working because by providing the infrastructure, we are seeing different results in the particular discipline. So we are seeing that. Not only did we do the 50-meter pool, we have now done a 25-meter, which would be opening shortly. In terms of athletics, with the opening up of the synthetic track, you'll see improvement in athletics, right? So we are not just talking about what we want to develop. When we talk about it and when we say this is what we're going to be doing, we follow up that promise by delivering on the promise. And I think that is what is important. A lot of people talk, but they don't deliver. And we have been delivering, and we have a good track record of the delivery of everything that we've spoken about.
But the reality is, while you're saying that, Minister, and your, like I said, your political opponents are coming here to Berbice and say all sorts of things to the people of Berbice, of course, it creates some level of confusion in their minds.
Yeah.
What do you say, finally, before we close, to the people here in Berbice with regards to those messages, those mixed messages that they're hearing?
Well, I think people in Berbice, they're very smart people. And I would ask them that let them objectively judge. So there are people who would come, they probably got sweet words in their mouth, they probably sung persuasive, but we need to go beyond the song bites. We need to go beyond the song bites and think a little bit deeper. Is this what this person is saying? Is it making sense? can they actually deliver on what they're saying? And if they can't, then something is wrong with what they're saying. So I'll ask people to make a basic thing. Just think a little deeper. Analyze what is being said to you. And once you can do that analysis, I am sure you will draw the right conclusion. Because we, as the PPP civic government, we have a track record. We have a track record of keeping our promise and delivering on all of these plans that we put on in our manifesto. We don't put those things lightly. We put them because we are serious about what we are putting in there, because we know people would hold us accountable. And that's why when sometimes, people want all kinds of spectacular projects and so, we might be a little conservative, we might be a little guarded, because we want to put things in there that we can accomplish. And we have been able to accomplish that and deliver that to people. And I think people can judge that. People can feel that. People can see these things happening. And I think that is what is important. So the mixed messages, with anything, political parties would want to go out there and try to persuade voters that they are the best thing in town. Voters have to be, in a way, they have to look at what is being presented and then make sure that they make the right decisions.
I want to thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Frank Anthony, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, and I want to thank you very much for joining us. Have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you.